Hello, good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome to our Windows security session. I am Catherine Holsworth and I'm Group Program Manager covering Windows security. We're very excited to have you here today at our session. So we'll start with you, Kevin.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Sheehan. I'm a product manager on Windows Device Management, so responsible for all things MDM on the Windows platform. Abhi?
Hi everyone. My name is Abhijat, and I'm a product manager on Windows Security. Care about a few things on Windows isolation technologies. And now I'll hand it over to Harish.
Hey everyone, this is Harish Krishnamurthy, and I'm a product management lead here at Windows Security. I work on data protection.
And I'm Nazim Saqib, and great to get to talk to everyone. I'm the PM lead for our hardware and firmware security technologies in Windows.
Okay, so we are looking for some questions coming through from the chat. So while we wait, we will do a few recaps from Build. So from Build, we were very excited to announce our trusted signing. This gives developers the opportunity to sign their code much more easily. We had an in-person session on Build around trusted signing, and we also talked a lot about Win32 app isolation as part of Build. So I'll hand over to Abhi to talk a little bit about Win32 app isolation and some of the things that we're excited about from that announcement.
Yeah, thanks, Kath. So Win32 app isolation is something which we announced in the last build. And this technology is very much in preview and available for all your app developers who try out. The main security benefit which it brings to you is it gives you easiest, simplest, and most effective way to isolate your application with lightweight containers. So in case you have any vulnerability which may come in because you use third-party OSS libraries, things like that, your users' data and the privacy of your users still stay secured because all the attacks will be contained and isolated. So this technology is very much out there. We are also on GitHub if you need any code samples. So try it out and isolate your apps.
Yes, and so while we wait for the... Oh, right. Thank you. We have our first question in. What is the difference between Windows Hello and Windows Hello ESS? So with Windows Hello, as you probably know, enables a user to authenticate using their biometric or PIN and eliminating the need for a password. So we're very excited about driving to a more passwordless world. So biometric authentication uses facial recognition or fingerprint to prove the user's identity. That is a way that is secure, personal, and convenient. So what enhanced sign-in security provides is an additional level of security to the biometric data by leveraging specialized hardware and software components such as the virtualization-based security and trusted platform module, or TPM, to isolate and protect a user's authentication data and secure the channel by which the data is communicated between where the biometric template is stored and the biometric sensor that is identifying the user. So that's a little bit about Windows Hello ESS. And you will see ESS is one of the things we have been talking about more and more in the Windows security, chip to cloud security. It is on many new Windows 11 PCs as well as on the Copilot Plus PCs. Any built-in biometric comes on is there by default for Copilot Plus PCs. So on the screen here, I'm just going to read on the screen to make sure I get it right. You can see popping up aka.ms /new in Windows 11 security is the place where you can find more out about ESS, as well as some of our other Windows security announcements we made at Build. Thank you for asking on that one. We're very excited about ESS and some of the opportunities with ESS, actually. Particularly as passkeys start to get very, very ubiquitous, and we're working with the industry to drive our passwordless story with passkeys, actually. And you're going to see more and more from Windows, as well as the industry, on how we're driving towards passkey adoption across the industry. And one of the important things is to make sure that passkeys are stored and protected by the Hello authenticator. And so having that extra layer of security with enhanced sign-in security, or ESS, is something we're excited about bringing. So we wait for the next question. I'm going to pop off here to... I actually see another question on the screen. I'll go over to the next thing I had in mind soon around Pluton. But before we do that, we do have a question on Win32 app isolation and how it's integrated with Visual Studio. So I'd like to hand off to Abhi about that. He is our expert on Win32 app isolation and that integration. So Abhi, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kath. So the answer to that is yes. Win32 app isolation primitives and the security technology can be used with Visual Studio if you are developing your apps using Visual Studio. In fact, the newest version of Visual Studio, which was announced in Build, I think version 16.10, supports development of the applications with the Win32 app isolation security technology. So go ahead and try that out. It makes development of your app seamless with security integrated.
So Abhi, you may also like to mention some of the GitHub information about Win32 app isolation as well, in case people want to learn more there.
Yes, so we have our full documentation available on GitHub, and you can even reach out to us on GitHub channel in case you have any question. We have the code samples available there as well, which makes it seamless, completely easy for you to define those security primitives in the app manifest. And we also give you support. Like I said, we have a channel live in GitHub where the product team can answer all your questions, concerns. And in fact, if you have any request for a feature enhancement, we even look there to further develop the features in Win32 app isolation.
And if I can just add on here, the reason I'm so excited about Win32 app isolation, it really helps us enable apps to be developed secure by default and secure by design, and it will really help our users keep their privacy in many ways, and really have us understand what is happening within that app in case of any attack on that app. So we really are encouraging people to use Win32 app isolation. Try it out, give us feedback, and isolate your apps and package them to make sure that we are designing apps secure by design and secure by default. So while we wait for the next question to come in, I'm going to throw over a question of my own to Saqib. So Saqib, you are one of the product owners for Secure Core PC and also Pluton. So I would love you to tell me why you're super excited about Pluton, and then a little bit about the importance of Secure Core PC. And we hope to get more questions as we go. But in the meantime, please fire away on that.
No, thanks, Kath. I'm excited to get the opportunity to talk about a couple of things that our team's been working on for many, many years. So I'll take the question on Pluton first. Pluton is a security processor that's embedded into the system on a chip. You can think of it as the heart of the device. It's where your CPU is. It's where the embedded microcontrollers are. It's on the motherboard. And it really is the heart of the PC. And one of the things that we are always doing at Microsoft is finding ways to take that bar for security ever higher. And, all the app isolation stuff is super exciting with what we're doing in software. But, we have a great relationship with the Windows ecosystem. And what we're doing with our partners like Intel and AMD and our OEM partners is how do we take that same obsession about security and build it right into the hardware? And that's what Pluton is. It's a tiny little, you can think of it as a tiny little CPU of its own that's dedicated to security. It's isolated from other vectors for hardware attacks on the platform. And so we thought really hard about things like bus sniffing and how we prevent those types of attacks. And we work very closely with our silicon partners to build in the firmware from Microsoft that implements a set of security capabilities, a TPM on certain configurations, and new functionality that we're excited to announce at some point for in other configurations. And our goal really is to provide two things. One, which I already mentioned, which is greater security for things like keys and tokens, like the primitives behind your accounts, behind your data protection technology like BitLocker. And more than anything else, and Harish and I spend a lot of time talking about this, is about reliability. We talk a lot in the commercial space about zero trust, this notion that you don't authorize access until you validate in a really secure, tamper-proof way that your system is healthy. You can't do zero trust if you don't have 100% reliability. And that, that is the goal with Pluton. Like, how do we give customers that, multiple lines of reliability so that they can have zero trust? And our vision for Pluton is that, from the ground up, across the hardware, the firmware, the operating system layer, and the integration with our services like Intune, we give customers that multiple nines of reliability that they need to implement zero trust in workflows like conditional access and Intune. So that's Pluton. And Secured Core PC, it's a collection of features that I think, Kath, like everyone in our team has worked on over many, many years. Things like DRTM or System Guard, which is meant to provide better isolation using hardware-based technologies for our virtualization-based security primitives, our hypervisor-based code integrity, which is one of the best mitigations that we have for advanced malware on Windows. If it was enabled on more systems, attacks like WannaCry would not have worked because it would have broken one of the main primitives that kind of malware uses. And capabilities like our DMA protections that help prevent attacks against Windows Hello, very complementary to things like ESS. And so with Secure Core PC, the problem we're trying to solve for is to move from a model where our customers, whether in consumer or commercial, need to be aware of this laundry list of features and enable them. And really, we get to work with our rich Windows PC ecosystem to enable these capabilities by default. As you mentioned, we want customers to be secure by design and secure by default. And Secure Core PC scales out the enablement of these powerful capabilities in systems that customers can get directly from customers without needing to worry about configuring those capabilities and thinking about things like the hardware and firmware configuration. So really exciting. All these capabilities are coming on our Copilot Plus PCs. So it's great to see the work from the team over many, many years getting into the hands of our customers.
Yes, and so one of the things I just want to add on here, Saqib, is that we have heard our executives talking a lot about the Secure Future initiative, which is secure by two of the pillars there are secure by design and secure by default. And so really the work that your team has been doing here has really helped talk to some of the things we're doing on Windows to make sure that Windows is secure by default. And Secure Core PC is a fantastic example of some of the work we have been doing under the guidance of that Secure Future initiative as well. And it's also an amazing feature. I think it started off in sort of high-end commercial grade PCs, and now you are seeing it, on all consumer PCs as well. So really excited as the security team to be able to design features that are for high security environments and then be able to offer that security to our consumer customers as well. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, I was asked earlier about the ESS, enhanced sign-in security. That is part of the secure core PC requirement as well. So again, biometric has to be secure, the most secure by default in all of the new PCs as well. So while we're waiting for the next question, I'm going to hand over to Kevin. Kevin is our expert on mobile device management, and we know that a lot of customers are very, very interested in being able to lock down their PCs so that they can manage them in large environments. So Kevin, would you like to talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in MDM, and perhaps talk a little bit about config refresh, which I know is something you've been working on and are busily even writing a blog on that we should see later on in the next few weeks, I think. So over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kath. So in the MDM front, there's a bunch of features that we have been working on. Many of them tie into new capabilities, such as Pluton, so the ability to leverage Pluton for being able to handle enrollment certificates and ensure that enrollment certificates can't be removed and replayed on another device, and those sorts of things to make sure that you've really truly got a secure enrollment. We are also, kind of looking at security and management to say, how can we get to a world where a secure PC is a well-managed PC and a well-managed PC is a secured PC? So moving away from things like running as administrator on a machine is super, super critical. We've built a number of features that are basically designed to make sure that we're securing a system against people who are running as admins, when in reality, the perfect world would be running without an administrative credential on the machine. So hopefully we'll talk about some of the adminless work that's going on as well. Config refresh is a brand new feature that just shipped in the last month. As Kath said, there is a blog that will be published very shortly to talk about it. If you're an Intune customer, you can see the config refresh option available now inside of settings catalog. And with the Windows update that shipped last week, we refer to as the May update. The May update includes config refresh as a new feature that's available. It's not enabled by default. You do need to enable it in the settings catalog. What config refresh does is brings parity to what we had with group policy, whereas with group policy, by default, every 90 minutes, the policies would be refreshed on a machine. If they had drifted because a user changed them because they were running as admin, or if a piece of malware was running as admin and started changing settings on the device, they would be reset back to what the administrator had desired. With MDM, when you do a check-in against the server, every 8 hours, those settings would be refreshed. So there was a significant gap there between the amount of time that the system would be potentially in a state that the admin didn't intend until that next refresh would happen. So with config refresh, what we do is we actually handle this in an offline fashion. There's no server round trip required. By default, every 90 minutes, we'll go ahead and we'll refresh all of the settings that had been configured by the admin that fall inside of what's known as the Policy Configuration Service Provider, or CSP. That makes up the vast majority of the settings which were available inside of group policy in the past. We'll go ahead and refresh. If you want to, you can actually dial that down to every 30 minutes. So you can make the refresh happen very frequently, or you can move it out to whatever number is going to make sense, very similar to, again, what was available with group policy. We've also added a feature known as pause. So you can pause the refresh. We typically see people want to do this in a scenario where you're troubleshooting a particular problem and you don't want your registry settings going and being reset every 90 minutes if you're trying to reproduce a particular problem. So by sending a pause command, you can pause it, and you can set how long you'd like the pause to go for. At the end, if you forget to unpause it at the end of whatever time period you've configured, it will go ahead and reset the setting back to what was originally pushed down by the MDM server. So look for a blog on that, and definitely give us feedback on Config Refresh. Looking forward to getting it out there.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. And so we do have one question from the audience here. Will there be any policies coming for enterprises to control Quick Assist? So Quick Assist is something that we are looking into with the Quick Assist team. Thank you very much for the feedback around policies to control Quick Assist. One of the things that Kevin really focuses on is examining new features and looking to see, or existing features even to make sure that we understand where enterprises need additional policies or levers to manage the big enterprise deployment. So I'm not actually quite remembering where we are with the Quick Assist enterprise controls off the top of my head, but after this call, we'll definitely go ahead and look into it, unless, Kevin, you happen to know off the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but we'd love to get feedback about things that maybe don't have a control. As part of shipping any feature, there is a team that I run that is responsible for doing policy reviews. And so we'll work with all of the feature teams for any Windows component to say, if we're going to ship this, do we have the ability to allow an administrator to manage it? So it really makes for the process of kind of compliance and second checking to make sure that we're not in a situation where we're going to ship a feature and then all of a sudden, see some backlash of, hey, we want to turn this feature off, we want to only use parts of it, et cetera, before we're going to be able to deploy a new release of Windows or even a new update of Windows where these new features are going to be available.
Perfect, thank you. So quickly, I do want to, while we're waiting for new questions to come in, Harish, I'd like to invite you in, and perhaps you can talk a little bit about why you're excited on some of the new default encryption that is coming for Windows, and also say a little bit about PDE. That's actually, or personal data encryption. That's something that I am quite excited about our future with regard to encryption. So please go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Yep, sure. Thanks for having me, Kath, again. So yeah, we're excited about PDE. There was a lot of talk about PDE. We also published a blog right during the build. Here at Microsoft, Windows security, when we talk about defense in depth and layered security, that's where PDE comes into play. Many of us are familiar with BitLocker. It's been there for a long time as a data at rest default protection. Now, PDE, personal data encryption, comes into where we're actually combining user authentication with the rest of the data protection technologies. So essentially, you have certain folders, Windows known folders, or you can actually have your own folders by calling the PDE APIs, where you can actually, unless you're logged into the machine, those folders remain encrypted. So in today's world, it's very common for us to walk away from your computer, or when you may be in Starbucks or you're logged out of the computer, but your machine is still turned on. It's possible that some of those folders are vulnerable, and it happened at the time. There's always an adversary looking for ways to get into your machine, and that's actually where PDE comes into the play. There's a key that we actually use for encrypting those folders, and the key is purged as soon as you lock out of your machine. Once again, when you lock back in, that's where actually the keys are there, and now you actually have decrypted the contents available for your use. It's a pretty straightforward feature. We have an API that we publish for developers. There's a blog that just came out last week. You can actually, would love to hear feedback and more from developers on that. And there's also, I work closely with Kevin, and we're trying to see, there's a feature coming up here soon with the integration with MDM. There you can also apply policies to turn on PDE for Windows known folders. That's your My Pictures, My Documents, My Videos. Those are all things that you can actually protect. You can push the policy through MDM. Very little input, nothing, almost from a developer perspective there, where you can push the policy and PDE is turned on for those machines. This is where it becomes even more powerful without, just turning on for each of those folders. I think that's the nutshell on PDE. Certainly provides a additional layer of security. So I think we're pretty excited about the fact that we can also bring in Windows Hello into the equation. Unless you're actually logged in through Hello, which again uses hardware-backed keys, as you know, and that itself at system level provides you one more layer of security. So that's what we're excited about here at PDE, and looking forward to hearing more feedback on that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Harish. So there was a quick question. Saqib, you were going to talk a little bit about Pluton plus server. I think there was a question about Pluton plus server in there. Do you want to quickly do that one?
Yeah, I can tackle that quickly. Hopefully we've interpreted it correctly. The question was perhaps is Pluton supported on Windows Server like Server 2022? As we mentioned earlier, Pluton depends on the hardware security processor being available on the chip on the SoC, and at the moment, support for that is limited to client SoCs. So, short answer: Pluton is unavailable on Windows Server today, though we continuously seek feedback around needs in the server space as well.
Perfect, thank you. So we do have a question here around, sorry, I'm just going to read this one to make sure I get it right. Where I'm just going to scroll back to make sure. There's a question around Defender and what's the roadmap? Here we go. What's the roadmap for Defender and ARM and feature parity with x64 processors? So there's nobody directly on the Defender team here at the moment, but my understanding from the Defender team is that they aim for and expect parity with ARM today. So that is my understanding from the Defender team, and we can go deeper on that in a Defender session if needed, I'm sure, at some stage. So hope that answers the question there. Right. Next one up is around about firewall. So we do have new firewall features with Atomic. So we do have a few more firewall features. We've been addressing really with firewall some of the biggest features and feedback that the team has or the customers have on firewall management. And so we announced a whole lot of stuff, particularly around atomic rule processing, actually. There was some issues around the atomic rule processing that we heard from customers. And so in the latest release of Firewall, you will see some of that fixed as well. And so we want to make sure that Firewall is infinitely manageable, that you can use Firewall to help your better overall protection there. So please check out the blog that we wrote. There's a lot of detail on Firewall there, and also in the Learn portal on Firewall. There's been a number of features in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years that we have had continuous improvement with Firewall. Between the Windows client side, we work very closely with the Intune team as well as the MDE team to make sure that the end-to-end there is improving over time, and very much focused on addressing customer feedback there. So check out the blogs, check out the Learn portal. There's tons of detail there. Right. Okay. There's a question in the chat here about application control for business. I need to spend a moment or two processing that one in my own head to make sure I fully understand it. So while I'm reading that question, sorry, let me pause here. Okay, so there is one question here in the chat about recall, actually. So recall, as you've probably seen that exciting announcement a few weeks ago, is currently in preview. And so that is not the topic for discussion for today, as it really is in preview. But do know that what we want to make sure of is that it is manageable and that it is secure from the ground up. And so the best place to learn about recall, we are not deep in the recall team here, is aka.ms/recall overview. That is in the chat here. And also aka.ms/recall privacy. So again, that is flashing up on the screen. So know that Kevin and the recall team are working to make sure that there is appropriate enterprise management on there for enterprises, and also manageable for end users as well. Oh, okay. So there was a question about firewall policy, a follow-up question about firewall policy. I'm going to hand that off to Abhi. He's a little deeper in the firewall policy than I am. So go for Abhi.
Yeah, so let me rephrase the question here if I understand it correctly. So I think the question was that we need some rules in the firewall policies using which we can specifically apply firewall policies on the identified applications. So I think currently it supports policies via file paths, but those can change. And I think the suggestion here is that use some sort of application IDs to target firewall policies to the apps. So we are doing a lot in terms of identifying the applications, and that work is going to feed into creation of these kind of policies. The main thing here is how do you identify the app? And as Kath mentioned in the beginning of this session, we are doing a lot with trusted signing, and that's the direction which we are taking going forward in terms of assigning the identities, unique identities to apps which are more durable, which are robust, easily identifiable, so that these policies can be created, securing your apps going forward. So stay tuned. These rules are coming. Before that, we are doing a lot of work to identify the apps correctly, including things like trusted signing, and then we will definitely deliver on these kind of rules.
Okay, so we do have another question here that I'm going to toss over to you, Kevin. The question is, when will config refresh be GA? So general availability. I know it's in preview now, but would you like to talk about when we expect it to be GA?
Yes, actually, it just GA'd as of the 29th of May. So last week, you do need to have the latest cumulative update on your machine in order for it to be functional. But as of 5D or the May update, it is now available and functional. I believe Intune is in the process right now of removing the insider-only tag that shows up inside of the console. So when their next monthly update, that should be removed. If you want to work with it, you can. If you would like to, outside of the insider preview that we had available, you can configure a custom OMA URI rather than using settings catalog and have it enabled on any production machine that's running the May update.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm very excited to get that out, actually. It's been a feature that we have heard about for a long time as customers have really wanted. So it's very exciting to see it land. So great work, Kevin and the team. I know you've been working hard on that. Okay, while we're waiting for new questions, what I am going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of my sort of favorite things at Build, actually, that are worthwhile knowing about. And, one of the things we really focus on in the Windows team is how do we think about data protection? How do we think about identity management, as well as how do we make it really easy to enable users to have multi-factor authentication for their own personal identities. On top of that, we are very focused on security incident reduction. And so, Windows has been around for a long time, and some of the things we designed a number of years ago need to be removed or potentially updated because the threat landscape is changing. And so the one thing that I'm really excited about is removing NT-LAN Manager, or NTLM. This has been a really huge ask from our security community, as it will strengthen our user authentication. And so Kerberos has actually been the default authentication protocol for a really long time, but there are still cases where Windows falls back to NTLM. And so what we've been working on over the past year or two is to improve the reliability and flexibility of Kerberos. And that has been expanded so we can reduce the NTLM dependencies that we've been hearing from our customers. So we've got new capabilities that have been added for initial and pass-through authentication using Kerberos, as well as the local key distribution center for Kerberos. And these changes are exposed through the negotiate protocol. And so when you think about your environments, or if you're a developer, the place we really need help is to make sure any apps or services are ready for the NTLM-less world. Check that you're not hard coding NTLM and instead use negotiate. And then once you do this, Windows will use the most secure protocol available to you and your customers so that they're seamlessly more secure. And again, this really talks to the Secure Future initiative, where we are focused on secure by design and secure by default. And so this removing of NTLM is really around the secure by design, but also we are defaulting to the most secure protocol. So that is something that we as a security team are super excited about, and our security counterparts in our red teams are also very excited about moving that, or less excited because we're making their job harder. So looking for more questions. Otherwise, I am going to go through my list and toss something out to the team here. Okay, Harish. One of the things I know your team works on is the attestation for Windows. Would you like to talk about some of the attestation work that you're most excited about? I know there's new things coming, and would love to hear about your attestation work, please. And I think there's been blogs out recently about attestation, so fire away.
Yeah. So one of the big things before we talk about attestation is zero trust. For zero trust, the backbone is, how is the device doing? Is the device healthy? And that's where device health attestation comes into play. And so attestation is something that where we actually are able to validate and make sure the system has booted correctly. We're able to verify that this is really the genuine hardware. There's a number of attributes that gets checked in, and you get the first signal of, hey, this is actually a healthy system. So the way to, the entire zero trust architecture relies on the fact that the endpoints or the devices are actually healthy and talking to, applications and other cloud servers from a healthy state. So attestation, we have continued to increase the different parameters and attributes that we actually check for in attestation. And so that's what you'll see. And we've also seen a significant growth in the total number of devices today that actually use our attestation service on the service side of things. And more importantly, on Kevin's team, we work closely with how we can actually manage some of these policies through the MDM. And so that's the other angle where we have actually done some innovation with the attestation. Not only do we have it on the device itself, but the ability to manage it and get the reports. And it's super critical that for CSOs, that they can actually look at these device health and get some sort of report and see how the devices are doing, how many of them need to be actually patched, and all of those things. So these are all like foundational features for zero trust, and that's actually where our team comes into play. And we feel pretty good about how important the attestation plays in this role, and that we continue to prioritize that work.
Yep, thank you very much, Harish. So we do have a question on LinkedIn. Is the Secure Future initiative different than Trustworthy Computing, or just an evolution? And so it's It's more, in my mind anyway, it's more of an evolution. We've always really cared about security here at Microsoft, and Trustworthy Computing was a memo sent out by our leadership probably 20 years ago. I remember it came out really early on in my Microsoft career here, and so it is really a re-emphasis for us on making sure that security is top of mind, and in my mind, helping evolve Trustworthy Computing to today's modern threat landscape. And so it's been very exciting from a security team point of view to see how, re-emphasis of security being such a top priority for Microsoft. And the thing that I particularly loved about the Secure Future initiative and the thoughts around it is really hearing Satya say security is a team sport. And as we think about our Windows security team, we need our developers, we need in some ways, our users, we need our enterprises all to be part of our security team, and we are looking to make it very easy for you to be part of our team, because when we really team together, we do make it possible for every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So to learn more about the Secure Future initiative, I really loved the build session by Julia Lewison and John Lambert during their keynote there, where they really dived into the Secure Future initiative with the 3 pillars of secure by design, secure by default, and secure operation. And they did a really beautiful job of diving into the 3 main pillars and then the 6 additional pillars that each of us are very focused on. So here in the Windows security team, we spend a lot of time thinking about the Secure Future initiative and the work we need to continue to do to make sure Windows is more and more secure. So great question, thank you. And we do look forward to all the people on the call here being part of the Windows security team as well. So I'm waiting to see if there's more questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to toss more questions to the team here. Buzzing back through the list of things that I would like to talk about. Abe, do you want to have a little bit of a chat around making admins more secure? It's something that we have talked about at Build. It's one of those features that I'm super excited about, and you may also want to touch on some of the EPM stuff from Intune as well. So handing over to you.
Yeah, sure, Kath. Thanks. Continuing on our security first initiative, as Kath was saying, secure by default, secure by design, and secure by process. If you look at the administrator user today on Windows, and that has been a concern from our customers and as well as within Microsoft inside as well, how do we make that least privilege? So you as a device owner, you should be able to do everything and accomplish everything what you can without any hindrance, but at the same time, you should be secure. And that's exactly where our initiatives are for making the administrator user on Windows secure by default and secure by design. And there is a lot coming there. So first of all, we are enhancing the security of the administrator user so that the admin privileges which you have when you log in onto the box are available only and only just in time. And that's very important because why do you need to have the admin privilege if you're not doing any admin operation? If you're doing your day-to-day function like checking your email, browsing on the internet, you don't require the admin privilege. At that time, you are as good as a standard user. And even when you are a device owner, you have all the superpowers to do anything on the computer. You should be in that default least privileged state all the time. So that's rule number 1. The rule number 2 is whenever you have to do that admin job, you should be granted that privilege, but at the same time, you should be granted that privilege after due authentication from the platform, so that so that the platform trusts you and only you, so that you can do that admin operation securely and nobody else on your behalf. So that's rule number 2. And rule number 3 is when you perform that security operation, when you perform that admin operation, the security should be seamless, should be more efficient, and should be more performant, right? So imagine the workflow whenever you are trying to do an admin operation. Before you are granted that admin rights, the Windows platform challenges you, and you authenticate again with your Windows Hello Auth, which is more secure, which is more efficient and more easy. And only after you grant the authentication, then the Windows performs the admin operations on your behalf. So that if a bad person or a bad guy or a malware comes on the device, it cannot abuse your admin privileges. So ultimately what we are trying to implement there is the principle of least privilege and just in time administrative rights, even when you are a local administrator user. And this is coming in very, very, very soon. We call it a more secure administrator, and we should be able to give you a preview very soon in next couple of quarters for this more secure administrator. So that's the secure administrator initiative. You should still be able to implement the least privilege user using the standard users, which we have. And in collaboration with Intune, now we have the tool called the EPM tool, which is a privilege access management tool, which you can continue use. As well as when we launch this new more secure administrator, it will give you one more method to implement least privilege user together with the EPM tool, so that you can control what your users have rights for doing whichever operation and whichever process, and you implement least privilege in your organization.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Abhi. So we do have one more for the chat, and I think it's probably going to be one of our last questions here. It's a really good question. How is PDE, or personal data encryption, different from BitLocker, and when should that be used? So Harish, I know this question will be near and dear to your heart. Do you want to address that, please?
Sure. Thanks, Kath. BitLocker, as we know, it's a data at rest protection where the entire volume is protected. Sometimes we call it volume encryption, right? And where it comes in super handy is if your device gets stolen, if you're at the airport, or if you just misplace your device, regardless of where it is, the entire volume is actually protected with device encryption and BitLocker. Where PDE comes into play, which is actually a file-based encryption system, is there are files and specific folders that you can go and protect in addition to BitLocker. So you can continue to have the data at rest protection, the entire volume protection with BitLocker, but PDE gives you a file-level granular protection. This is when we talk about the layered security. And you can have both. And PDE also is combined with your user authentication. So when you have to go through Windows Hello using your PIN or any of the biometrics, and only then you can get to those files that you decide to tag as PDE encrypted. And that's the difference. And PDE is a lot more granular. You have a lot more flexibility in terms of which files or folders you want to encrypt. You also are going to be protected and backed with hardware through the Windows Hello piece it's integrated with. So that's actually where PDE is equally powerful. It really takes care of during runtime when your machine is, you have the machine turned on, but you're logged out. Those are the type of scenarios where it comes in really handy. So, should have both turned on for maximum protection. That's what we recommend.
Yeah, and so when you got both turned on there, Harish, you've got double encryption, which
That's
is
right. Exactly.
fantastic for protecting your data as well. So very excited to see more and more come from PDE, and also the partnership that our teams have between Hello, which is a broader part of my team, as well as the data protection team, is fantastic. And we really do look forward to feedback from you all around PDE and anything else. So I think we are getting, we're out of time, or we're running out of time, and we want to make sure that people have an opportunity to take a break between sessions. And so, security really is a team sport. Part of our team is to get the feedback from those listening on where we need to think differently or more deeply about Windows security. So would absolutely love your feedback. We're constantly looking at the feedback hub. We're constantly looking at all forms of feedback. So please give us your feedback. We absolutely love you as part of our security team. I do want to thank Kevin, Abi, Harish, and Saqib for their partnership. They are all very, very an important part of our team. So thanks for joining. So I think the next AMA is about the journey to cloud first. And so the AKA for that is aka.ms/AMA/cloud first. And so I hope you will join that. And thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.